Hello and welcome to the In a Nutshell podcast with myself, Andrew Miles Davis, and my co-host Chris Branch. This is the daily 10-minute podcast where we take out all of the techie talk around generative AI and focus on what the everyday person, content creator, and marketer wants to hear. Now, we've only got 10 minutes, so we can only focus on one particular subject. And today we're going to talk about, we're going to comment and give our commentary on some stats that came out recently around marketers and their use of generative AI. Now, there was two surveys that kind of happened. One was from SEMrush. So if you don't know SEMrush, really, really good tool. It's kind of known for more SEO, but it's kind of gone into different things as well. But also the Chartered Institute of Marketing. So what we're going to do really is just going to kind of read some of the data, some of the statistics, and we're just going to kind of comment on it, like our thoughts and feelings and opinions. So here's an interesting one. So start with the SEMrush. And they said that 67% of marketers are already using AI for content marketing and or SEO. Do you think that's high, low? Do you think that's about right?
That seems about right. I wonder how many of them have been given permission by their company to do so, or whether they're anonymously just doing it. You know, like it feels like companies are more like the 40 to 50%, and the rest are just doing it because it helps their job.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point where it's like how many people's used it and their companies are aware of it. That's another question. Yeah, or even allowing it. What I've experienced is that when I'm training organizations, especially larger organizations, they're aware of it, but they need sign off from legal purely around data. That's kind of the main thing. It's data and privacy. That's kind of where the problems lie. So 67%, yeah, I think that's about right. But again, it's depending on like if they're allowed. Now, here's an interesting thing. They said among those who don't use AI, 37% says it's because they don't understand how it works and how to use it right. So about a third of people really who don't use it is mainly to do with they just don't understand how it works or how to use it right.
Yeah, again, makes more sense to me. I'd say I'm imagining that to even be higher. You know, like I think that's a lot of people that assume they know how AI works. You know, what is it? The majority, like 63%, assume they know how AI works. That's quite bold.
Yeah, that's
I
a
would say
big number.
Yeah, I'd say that's not accurate.
Yeah. And then the other one that says the people who don't use AI, 78% of companies using AI for content are satisfied with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to think you not being satisfied, right? Like, otherwise you'd have had to spend hours and hours doing the same thing. Like, I'd be, again, very surprised if they'd ever used the technology as powerful as this before.
Yeah, especially the speed at which you can get, which kind of goes into one of the things that, so one of Chris's business partners, Paul, he's made this comment that always stuck with me. And he said, if you've now got 2 hours, does that mean you go for quantity or quality? Because in 2 hours, you can create a lot of content. Or do you just focus on the same amount of content you create, but make it better? So what do you do in those 2 hours? Which I kind of think is when people talk about satisfied, again, is it quality or quantity that you're satisfied with?
Again, it's the most obvious thing is that you can add more quantity, but then because it's the most obvious, it will be the most played move.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just going to be flooded the internet.
Yeah.
So here's an interesting, the top 5 use cases of AI for content are, number 1. Oh, actually, I'll because you've not seen this. I'm going to read out 5 and you try and guess which is number 1. So I'm not going to put it in order.
Right.
Writing content from scratch, rewriting and paraphrasing text, expanding text, which means adding more content and ideas, researching content for topic ideas, or creating a content marketing strategy. Which do you think is the number 1 reason?
Ooh, that's a really hard one because research is only really capable through AIs that have access to the internet. But I feel like it still might be high on the list. The rewriting one, I feel like it would be a bit lower in my use case because I feel like most people would want to keep their tone of voice. The padding out, I feel like might be high as well. But yeah, reveal to me. I'll guess that I'll guess that the
Like,
top one is padding out.
no, the number one is actually researching content and topic ideas.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That
You
makes
said it
sense.
would be high, yeah. So that's the top where it says the top 5 use cases of AI. Number
Yeah.
one, they're saying, according to this survey, researching content and topic ideas. So I don't know if anyone here listening, you've kind of used it for that. I've done it quite a lot for researching content, but I still feel it's not great. I think
No.
it's I still think like if I'm looking for something which requires a link, I don't necessarily think it's that great. I kind of think it great
Right.
at expanding, but not necessarily the comment researching. But for
I
topic
agree.
ideas, it's pretty good. It's pretty good for topic ideas.
Mm.
Now, here's another question: the top 5 content formats created with AI. So I'll say the five, and you've got to try and guess. Short
Right.
videos, blog posts, short articles, social media posts, or email newsletters.
Ooh. I'm gonna go email newsletters number one. Then I'm gonna go blog posts as number two. Then I'm gonna go social posts as number three. And what were the other options?
And then you had short articles and short videos.
Yeah, short articles is number four, and short videos number five.
Close. Number
Uh,
one is actually blog posts.
yeah, okay, I can see that.
Blog posts is number
There's
one. I
probably
think
a
it's
lot
because it's
more
easy.
blogs than there are newsletters. That's probably
Yeah.
why.
And email newsletters was number five. That was the fifth one.
Really?
Yeah. They said it. I guess it's more.
Wow.
I think with blog posts, you can just prompt it and say, write me a blog post about this many words, etc. Where email
Yeah.
newsletters, you probably have to put a bit more of your information in to make it a bit more relevant because
True.
the people who are following you would be, or subscribe to your email list, there'll be a reason. So it went blog
True.
post number one, social media post number two, short articles number three, short videos number four, and
Mhm.
email newsletters number
All
five.
right. All right.
So another bit that came up was quite interesting, and it said, "How do you usually structure your prompts when using AI chats?" And the number one was, "I tend to do multiple step prompts and ask many additional questions when talking to AI. For
Hmm.
example, sharing content pieces I wrote myself so it understands my tone of voice."
Hmm.
So that was the number one way. And also, as I mentioned, multiple steps. So
Hmm.
it's here's this, and then I just go into a bit more detail, so different levels of the prompt. And they
And
say
that's
that's the
backed
number
by the
one.
AI researchers too. They call this chain of thought prompting, and it's a lot
Yeah,
better at coming up with a better response. So, asking it to incrementally work out every stage than jumping from 1 to 100. Makes
yeah,
sense.
makes complete sense. Now, quickly, I said there was two, so I just want to talk about the Chartered Institute of Marketing because
Hmm.
they done some like a like a survey, did some research, and they revealed that they're issuing a warning that the extensive use of AI in marketing has surpassed the level of professional skills available, which I thought was quite
Hmm.
interesting. So I read a bit more detail, and it said a survey revealed that while 47% of marketers are actively using AI, only 4% feel confident in their ability to implement it effectively.
Mm.
40% are in the planning stages of AI
Hmm.
implementation, and just 12% yet to incorporate AI or machine learning into their daily operations.
That sounds much more like the stats I was thinking from the last data set.
Yeah.
That's 4% confidence. Yeah, that's about right. Not
Yeah.
the 63% think they know what they're doing. That's
Yeah.
completely out there.
No, definitely. They said despite the rapid adoption of AI, many marketers face challenges such as limited understanding of appropriate AI software,
Yeah.
a lack of in house expertise, and
Hmm.
insufficient data for training AI models.
Hmm. Totally makes sense. Unless you're
Yeah.
a Coca-Cola or a massive brand out there, you need 100 years worth of marketing in order to make your own AI model. We found this out. Like they require huge training data sets, like tens of
Yeah.
gigabytes. So, yeah,
Mm.
not easy, but interesting that they both came up with different answers. As to
Yeah.
who feels comfortable with AI. Like totally
Yeah.
opposite, in fact.
Total opposite. I think the SEMrush was also there's a big focus on SEOs, more
Mm,
SEO like marketers, where the Chartered Institute of Marketing was probably a bit more general marketers as well.
right. True.
But in a nutshell, it goes to show that there's going to be a lot of surveys, research, reports that's going to be out there when it comes to getting information about where we are now. But looking where we are in 2024, in a year's time, you're going to see completely different areas, or not different questions, also different answers to those particular questions. And the percentages are going to go higher, hopefully not in areas of we don't use it, but it's definitely going to go higher in understanding. And yeah, it's just very much going to see where we go in this particular space.